At the end of this video presentation, you are expected to, number 1, illustrate the importance of quantitative research across different fields. Number 2, identify the kinds of quantitative research. And number 3, differentiate the kinds of research variables and their uses. I hope that after this video presentation, all of these learning objectives are being achieved by you, the 21st century learners. And this time, we are going to discuss about the importance of quantitative research across different fields or disciplines. But prior to that, I am going to give you a certain adage which is very timely and relatable to the importance of quantitative research across different disciplines or fields. And the saying is, a progress cannot exist without inquiry. Yes, if you are not asking questions, if you are claiming that you are the most intelligent person in your community, you cannot achieve a certain progress or success because inquiry will bring you a lot of ideas. If you are doubtful of a certain thing, you are going to ask questions so that you can make yourselves clear with this phenomenon or event. Doubt is oftentimes better than overconfidence. As what I have said just a while ago, it's better to be doubtful than to be overconfident because overconfidence is always interpreted as arrogancy. How intelligent you are, how smart you are, there are people who can outsmart you. That is why it's better to ask questions if you are doubtful of a certain topic, of a certain event or phenomenon than claiming that you really know this topic. Because if you are not asking questions, you will not be clear with the meanings of this topic. Because doubts lead to inquiries. And inquiries lead to inventions. And invention bring progress to the modern society. Take note, the reason why we have so many inventions are because we are doubtful of a certain phenomenon. And if you are doubtful of a certain topic, of a certain existence of this event, we are always asking questions to make ourselves clear with the meanings of what is existing in our modern society. That is why, if you are not familiar with this topic of this activity, ask questions. And that is why, in our daily life activities, research is an inquiry. But if we are talking about the deeper understanding of research, it is more than inquiry. But you cannot do a research if you are not undergoing inquiry. Because inquiry is asking questions that need instant answers. That is why progress cannot be achieved without inquiry. And what leads us to do this inquiry? Doubt. If you are doubtful, you are motivated to ask questions. Do not claim that you know everything. You are going to approach the right persons who are expert with these things which you are doubtful. So that's how important is quantitative research in achieving a success or progress in our modern society. Now, this time, we are going to talk about the relationship of quantitative research and that of the anthropology. How important is quantitative research in anthropology? How important is anthropology in conducting a quantitative research? But prior to that, we are going to explain first what is anthropology. Anthropology is the systematic study of humans. It deals with the origins of humankind, their behavior, and societies in the past in order to understand the meanings of the present situation. And quantitative research have given very large contributions, a huge contribution to the improvement of human life. Because without quantitative research, we cannot understand our origins. Where did humans originate? What are the theories that explain the evolution of humankind? And that is one of the functions of quantitative research. There are so many theories where humankind originated, and that is because of the quantitative research. That's how quantitative research is very vital in understanding the evolution of humankind. Because of quantitative research, there are so many discoveries such as human behavior in the society, how our ancient people live in the caves. And that is because of anthropology, how the racial conflicts were being resolved during those ancient times. And the most important thing is anthropology is the systematic study of human evolution. Because anthropology leads us to understand our evolutionary origins. Because there are so many theories that explain how humans originated. I still remember when I was in high school, in our lesson in Araling Panlipunan, our teacher explained that there is a theory that humankind originated from apes. You can believe or not. And there is also a theory that humankind originated from a couple, Adam and Eve. Si Adam and si Siti Hawa. And that's how humankind originated. There are so many theories regarding the origin or the evolution of humankind, and that is the concern of anthropology. Because of this quantitative research, we were able to understand those several theories of the evolution of humankind. Anthropologists study the concept of culture and its relationship to human life in different times and places. The past, the present, and the future. They deal with other societies to gain a clearer perspective, to trace back the past, to help interpret the future. The reason why anthropologists study the origins, the evolution of humankind, so that we were able to understand the sacrifices of our ancestors, how they live in the cave, how they live in the mountains. Look at this particular picture. That explains the importance of quantitative research in understanding the evolution of a humankind. This person is an anthropologist. He studied the nature of this skull of the ancient people. And look at this picture. This talks about the evolution of a humankind, in which, according to a certain theory, we evolved from apes. And we cannot deny the fact that this is a theory of the evolution of the humankind. From this bone, and up to this bone until such time that at this moment we are now on a very good posture, in which if we are going to stand in the land area, our posture is always vertical, and that is perpendicular with the still water or the sea level. Unlike with this, these are the postures of the ancient people once upon a time. And this is the concern of anthropology and how quantitative research made importance in understanding this evolution of the humankind is that because of these fossils, the bones, the remains of the past, by measuring the bones, and that led the anthropologists understand the sacrifices of the ancient people. Look at this. In this age of humankind, they were able to use weapons to fight the invaders, to fight against their opponents. And this particular age of semi-modern world, humankind were able to discover some weapons in which they don't need to use this weapon. In this age, we are in the world of modern technology in which there are so many ways in order to communicate each other, and the most popular and widely used mean of communication is the Facebook. And that's how the humankind evolved, and that is one of the concerns of the quantitative research. And look at this fourth picture, and these are the different dimensions of anthropology. It discusses the diversity because our diversity is our strength. Take note, Philippines is being familiar with that of other countries or the foreigners because of the diversity that we have. We have our diverse cultures. Our diversity serves as our strength. Because of these diverse cultures that we have, particularly in Mindanao, there are so many foreigners who are going to the Philippines to study these cultures, to understand the cultures of these native people of Mindanao, as well as the native people of Luzon, the native people of Visayas. And because of that, there is income being produced by the Department of Tourism. We have the human species. If you still remember Homo sapiens, and that is one of the concerns of anthropology because we were able to understand the evolution of a humankind because of the measurement of the fossils, like for example the skulls, the bones, up to the skeletons, the tiny shells, and all of these are examples of the fossils, the remains of the past, in order to trace back the past events and to understand the present and the future situations of the humankind. That's how quantitative research is contributing to the study of the evolution of the humankind. Now, this time, we are going to talk about quantitative research and communication. What do you mean by communication? How do you understand each other? If you have a conflict with each other, if you do not communicate with each other, that conflict becomes worse. That is why communication is very important. And because of the quantitative research, our communication really improves. Communication is the act of conveying meanings from one entity or group to another through the use of mutually understood signs, symbols, and semiotic rules. Every communication involves at least one sender, a message, and a recipient. The primary purpose of communication research is to help people understand communication phenomena and direct their communication towards accomplishing individual and organizational goals. How important is quantitative research in improving our communication? Not because of quantitative research, we are not able to understand the language of other countries. And because of the quantitative research, the Korean language is very popular now in the Philippines. And that is because of the invasion of the K-pop. And because of the quantitative research, we are able to understand the languages of other people. And we are also able to understand the language of other tribes. And that is because of the findings of the quantitative research. That is how quantitative research is playing a vital role in understanding the improvement of our communication, how we understand each other, how we communicate each other, and that is one of the concerns of quantitative research. And look at this particular picture, and that signifies the relationship between quantitative research and that of the communication. What do you mean by this picture? This conveys communication. Once upon a time, it was very hard to send a message to your loved ones abroad because it takes 3 to 5 months before a receiver will be able to receive your letter, because you are going to send your letter to the post office and you are going to wait for several months before your loved one will receive the letter. But as of this time, just only one click in your messenger and your loved ones will automatically receive the message that you want to convey with your loved ones. And that is because of telephones, because of the internet communication, because of the laptop, and that is because of the quantitative research, because quantitative research produces inventions. And if you are not doubtful of a certain event, you cannot produce a quantitative research, because doubt leads to a certain inquiry. Inquiry leads to a certain progress, and progress cannot be achieved without inventions, and inventions are because of doubtfulness and because of inquiries. And that's how quantitative research plays a significant role in improving communication ways. Another form of communication is the TV. Once upon a time, black and white. As of this time, we have the color TV. And once upon a time, if you do not have the TV at your house, you cannot watch your favorite programs in the TV stations. But this time, because of the Facebook, because of the YouTube, because of the networking sites, you are able to watch all of these programs even though you are in the tricycles, in the public utility vehicles. You can watch your favorite programs because you have your cell phones. And that's how quantitative research plays an important role in discovering those ways how to improve our communication. Okay, look at this second picture. Because of quantitative research, we are able to improve our listening skills. Because of quantitative research, we are able to improve our friendliness, our friendship, because of communication. And so with quantitative research. And people are being taught with open-mindedness, and that is because of the quantitative research and as well as the communication. And because of the quantitative research, we are able to determine that there are essential communication skills in order to improve our career, for career development. We have the feedback. What do you mean by feedback? Feedback means you are going to say something about the strengths, the weaknesses of a certain people in order to improve his strengths and do something in order to overcome his weaknesses. And this is being done in constructive way. It means that you cannot hurt somebody just to tell that he is weak in this particular area. And confidence. We have the non-verbal communication skills. And that is because of the quantitative research. Because there are so many quantitative research talking about these essential communication skills to improve our career. We are going to proceed with the third picture, valuable interpersonal skills for our career. Valuable interpersonal skills are skills which are very needed in dealing with other people. We have the leadership. If you do not know how to lead, you cannot deal with many people. Caring. We have the active listening. If you are a leader, you must be active listener. We have the motivation, we have the responsibility, and we have the teamwork. All of these are the valuable interpersonal skills. When we say interpersonal, this is mingling with other people, dealing with diverse group of people. Look at this fourth picture. These are the dimensions or the aspects of communication in which these aspects or dimensions of communications can be subjects of our quantitative research. We have the news. We have so many. There are so many topics that you can have as potential problems of your study talking about quantitative research dealing with communication. Okay, we will proceed with quantitative research and medicine. How important is quantitative research in discovering the cure of a certain disease? Medicine is the science and practice of establishing the diagnosis, prognosis, treatment, and prevention of disease. It encompasses a variety of healthcare practices to maintain and restore health by the prevention and treatment of illness. Medical research aims to advance our knowledge to prevent and cure health problems. As of this moment, the most researchable health problems is the problems being given by the COVID-19 pandemic. And if you're going to do a quantitative research regarding the mental health of the teachers, the students, and the frontliners, such as doctors, medical specialists, nurses, if you're going to conduct a research about the mental health of the frontliners, you are doing a research in order to look for a cure of a certain health problems that not only talk about the problems in your body, you have the psychological problems being caused by this COVID-19. And that is one of the concerns of the quantitative research, the relationship between quantitative research and that of the medicine. There are so many quantitative researchers who are looking for the best medicine or the vaccine for this COVID-19 so that we will be back in a normal living. That is why quantitative research is very important in discovering the medicine of a certain disease or a sickness. Particularly, this time we are facing the global health problems, which is COVID-19 pandemic. I hope that very soon the vaccine, the cure for COVID-19 will be discovered through the use of the quantitative research. Look at these pictures. The first picture is medical specialist or a doctor who is discovering a certain medicine of a particular disease. And what he is doing is a part of quantitative research. And here comes another picture in which this scientist is mixing several chemicals in order to produce a medicine to cure the specific disease. We have also here, they are sharing their ideas on how this medicine can cure the disease. There are so many things you can interpret from this picture. These three persons are all doctors authors talking about what quantitative research they are going to have in order to discover the cure of a certain disease. We have also here another picture talking about a certain doctor also, or medical specialist, or a chemist, or a scientist producing or discovering a certain medicine, and what they are doing are part of quantitative research because they are using chemicals. If they are using chemicals, they are going to measure the chemicals. If they're going to measure the chemicals, numbers are involved. That is why quantitative research is very important in discovering the cure or the medicine of a certain sickness. We will proceed with quantitative research and psychology. Now, what do you mean by psychology? Psychology is the systematic study of the human mind. It talks about how we think and behavior, how we behave. Take note, teachers are psychologists because teachers can read the minds of the students because there are subjects in the college in which teachers should take up this one in order to understand the human mind and behavior of the children or the students. It is a multifaceted discipline which includes many subfields of study such as human development, social behavior, and cognitive process. But take note, the main focus of psychology is how we think and how we behave in a right place in a right time. Quantitative psychologists, there are also qualitative psychologists, and that is dealing with the mental problems of the children, writing the reasons why children have these mental problems, but they are not using quantitative research. Instead, they are using qualitative research to do the case study. But most of the times, what the psychologists are doing are quantitative research because they are going to discover what are the therapy techniques that we are going to use in order to solve the mental problems of children, of our loved ones. So that is why quantitative psychologists study and develop the methods and techniques used to measure human behavior and other attributes. Their work involves the statistical and mathematical modeling of psychological processes and analysis of psychological data. As you can see here, is statistical and mathematical modeling of psychological processes. We are going to proceed with the next slide. And this talks about the relationship between quantitative research and that of the psychology. Look at this picture. These psychologists are studying the mind of a certain individual. Take note, when I say psychology, it deals with the mind and behavior, the mental ability and the social ability of a certain person. We have also here talking about the mind, how people think, how the depressed people will be relieved from their mental problems is also a concern of psychology. We have also here, we are going to read what other people are thinking about us, what other people are talking about us. Mental reading of what people are thinking about us is also a part of psychology. And you can do this through the use of quantitative research. That's how important is quantitative research in dealing with the mental and social problems of a person, particularly the students, the children. So therefore, you can conduct a particular study regarding the mental and social problems of your classmates, of the students, of the elementary pupils, and that is a part of quantitative research and specifically psychology. This is also a mind, and that is the main concern of the psychology is dealing with the mental and social ability of a certain humankind. That's how important is quantitative research in psychology. And that's how psychology contributes to the improvement or development of quantitative research. Without quantitative research, we do not have psychologists at this time. So that's how important is quantitative research in dealing with the human mind and social behavior of the children. We are going to talk about the last concern of quantitative research, and that is all about the social science, and this is the most widely used researches, the social sciences, because if you are in the humanities and social sciences, and this is broader, there are so many topics being covered by social sciences, and how these social sciences are being developed because of the quantitative research, and what is the contribution of quantitative research in improving the social sciences. Take note, social sciences are dynamic. When we say dynamic, social sciences are adaptive. We're going to define first what is a social science. Social science is the study of society and the manner in which people behave and influence the world around us. It tells us about the world beyond our immediate experience and can help explain how our own society works. It provides vital information for governments and policymakers, local authorities, and non-government organizations. In short, social science is dealing with the society and how the people communicate and behave in that society. Social science is very broad. There are so many dimensions or types of social sciences. And what is social science research? And it is the activity of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information for a variety of social, economic, educational, and political purposes. You can do a research about social status of the people. You can also have a social science research talking about the economic stability of the indigenous peoples. You can also have a certain social study regarding the educational qualifications of the teachers in both private and public schools. And you can do also a social science research that pertains to the political agenda or purposes of politicians. Therefore, social science research is very broad. You are going to consider these pictures. Number one, leadership. Leadership is one of the concerns of social science. If you are going to do a research about leadership, you can. Now, not because of quantitative research, we will not be able to determine the principles of leadership. How to be a good leader, how to be a good follower. What are the types of leadership? And these types of leadership are being discovered, are being produced because of the quantitative research. We have the commitment. You can do a certain research about commitment. If the topic of research is about commitment, that is a social science. And if you're doing a research about commitment, the level of commitment of the teachers, that is quantitative research. We have also team members who have their role and responsibilities. And that is one of the concerns of social science. You can do a certain quantitative research that will determine the extent of the role and responsibilities of the team members of a certain organization. The last picture is talking about student absenteeism, vacant space, meaning there was one student who is absent from the class, and you can do a certain research about the effect of absenteeism on the academic performance of the students, and that is talking about social science research. Therefore, most of the researches being submitted by the students in the senior high school are all social science research, and they are, of course, quantitative research. That's how important is quantitative research in different fields or disciplines. What are the disciplines or fields that we talk about? We have the anthropology, we have the communication, we have the medicine, we have the psychology, we have also the social science. There are so many disciplines or fields, but these are just only some. These 5 disciplines or fields play an important role in understanding human behavior. Now, this time we are going to talk about the 2 kinds of quantitative research. Take note, there are only 2 kinds of quantitative research. We have the experimental research. Experimental research is a research being conducted by the students in the STEM curriculum. Like for example, as what I have explained to you in the first video presentation, that there are 3 specific research subjects offered to the UMS, TVL, ABM. We have the arts and design, qualitative research, quantitative research, inquiries, investigations, and immersion, and additional research subject for the STEM students, and that research subject is research capstone. Therefore, in the second semester, they have 2 research subjects in which, in that research capstone, they are all doing experimental research. They will do experimentation, science experimentation. But we can also have experimental research about social sciences, but that is not realistic in the part of the students, because you are going to test the validity and reliability of a certain teaching strategy, and that is not realistic for the students because you are not their teachers. That is why if you are belonging to the UMS, ABM, you are going to have the non-experimental research. If you are in the STEM curriculum and if you want to submit a research proposal about experimental research, you're going to reserve that for your research capstone, because I want you to submit a research proposal which is all about the other fields, which is realistic, like for example, the social science research. There are 2 types of quantitative research: the experimental, and this will use experimentation stage, experimental design, and we have the non-experimental research. And there are 3 kinds of experimental research: true experimental research, quasi-experimental research, also known as ex post facto research, or causal comparative research. And 3 is pre-experimental research. I am not going to explain the differences of these 3 kinds of experimental research because we have a separate video presentation about the natures of these 3 kinds of experimental research. At least you are acquainted with the 3 kinds of experimental research and the 2 kinds of quantitative research. And there are 3 kinds of quasi-experimental research. We have the maths comparative group research. I'm not going to explain in this video what is the meaning of maths comparative group research because we have a separate video presentation about this one. Time series research, I will just only give you a certain example. If a teacher wants to determine the effect of the online modality and modular modality, and the learning performance of the students will be compared with that of the online modality and that of the modular modality, and that is an example of maths comparative group research. Time series, the example of this one is the implementation of the K to 12 or the senior high school curriculum, because the word time series, it takes a longer period before you can have really the findings of the research. And we have the single subject research. You have only one group under investigation, and that is single subject research. And these are the three kinds of quasi-experimental research. And in the next video, we are going to explain what is the meaning of quasi, how quasi is different from pure experimental. And this time, we are going to talk about the three common types of non-experimental research, or it is also known as survey research. And this is the research proposal you are going to submit to me, because if you have your experimental research, reserve it for your research capstone. We have the descriptive research, comparative research, and you have the correlational research. You can have the descriptive comparative research, you can have descriptive correlational research, but the three main kinds of non-experimental research or survey research. Why survey research? Because you are going to use survey questionnaire. But not all non-experimental researches are survey researches. All survey researches are non-experimental researches, because qualitative researches are non-experimental researches, but they are not survey researches, because qualitative researches do not use survey questionnaires, because they use interview, focus group discussion, and other qualitative research methods. Okay, now, this is the diagram. Kinds of research are qualitative research, and we have the quantitative research. We do not have here the types or kinds of qualitative research, because you have already taken up this one. There is a separate subject for qualitative research. This time, we are going to focus our concentration on the kinds or types of quantitative research. We have the experimental research, and under experimental research, we have the true experimental research, we have the quasi-experimental research, and we have the pre-experimental research. Then, under quasi-experimental research, we have the maths comparative group research, we have the time series research, and we have the single subject research. And under the non-experimental research, you have your descriptive research, you have comparative research, and you have correlational research. This is the diagram of the two general kinds or types of research, particularly about quantitative research. I am going to repeat. There are two general kinds of quantitative research. We have the experimental and non-experimental. We are going to talk about experimental research, because in this particular topic, we will be going to discuss the last objective of our lesson, and that is to differentiate the kinds of research variables. Experimental research is a quantitative research that treats or deals with the object or subject. Take note, when we say object, it can be animals, it can be insects, it can be plants, it can be fungi, etc. And these are the objects being employed by the STEM students in having their science investigatory project. And when we say subject, it could be plants and animals, it could also be insects, it could also be participants or respondents. But if you are going to have the quantitative research in which you are not doing the experimental research, better to use respondents. In a definite or exact manner, when we say quantitative research, there is a definite or exact manner when to finish your research. You have the timetable. Unlike with qualitative research, there is no plan. There is no definite plan here. In quantitative research, there is a plan when to start your experimentation, when to end your experimentation. So that is why there is a definite or exact manner. And it determines the extent of the effect or influence of the treatment on the object or subject. Treatment is the strategy that you are applying on the experimental group. Then discovers the causes of such effect. It involves an experimentation to test the impact of the independent variable to the dependent variable. These are the two research variables that we have. Research variable is given a special name that only applies to experimental investigations. Research variable is only applied to quantitative research, and research variable is not applied in qualitative research. But research variable is not only applied in experimental research, it is also applied in non-experimental research, specifically correlational research. Okay, what is a research variable? Research variable is a change in quality. When you say change in quality, from the word variable, from the verb vary. When you say vary, to change anytime. Change in quality, attribute or characteristic of a person. Like for example, commitment, how committed the person is. How good the person in leading his students, a group, an educational system. What is the level of the commitment of the teachers at Esperanza National High School? All of those are examples of variables: commitment, leadership, teamwork, etc. Or any topic that is of interest in a study. Examples of research variables are intelligence, social competence. So when we say social competence, interpersonal competence, bullying, stress management, commitment, performance, achievement, study habits, absenteeism, etc. Those are variables that are examples of social sciences research. Those are the examples of research variables. You have the teamwork. You have the COVID-19 pandemic. That can also be variable. We have teachers' academic qualifications can also be example of variable. We will proceed with the three types of variables. The first one is the independent variable. The word independent means can stand alone. Independent variable is a variable that does not receive an effect of the dependent variable. Instead, independent variable causes effect to the dependent variable. It gives effect to the dependent variable. And it is the cause of the effect to the dependent variable. It is the variable that is stable, meaning it does not receive effect. The variable that gives effect to the dependent variable is the independent variable. The variable that produces impact, effect, or influence to the dependent variable, that is independent variable. This is the giver of the effect. And the variable that receives the effect of independent variable is the dependent variable. It is the variable being tested and measured in an experiment, and it is dependent on the independent variable. It receives the effect caused by the independent variable. That is why if you're going to have the non-experimental research in which there are variables being tackled, we have the so-called cause-effect relationship. The cause is the independent variable. The receives the effect is the dependent variable. I am going to repeat. Independent variable is stable and it gives effect to the dependent variable. Dependent variable receives effect from the independent variable. So with the independent variable x and dependent variable y, you cannot have the value of y unless you can have the value of x. Substitute the value of x before you can look for the value of y. And that is the relationship between independent and dependent variable. Okay, the third variable which is of importance in conducting a non-experimental research as well as experimental research is intervening variable. When I say intervene, for instance, you have two friends who are very close to you and they have a conflict with each other. What you're going to do is to intervene between them in order to resolve the issue. So that is the meaning of intervening variable. It either gives moderation to the independent variable or to the dependent variable. It is the hypothetical variable used to explain causal links between variables. Intervening variable can be linked to independent variable and can also be linked to dependent variable. It gives moderation between the relationship between the dependent and that of the independent variable. It is also known as moderating variable. In order that the conflicts of your two friends will not get worse, you're going to intervene in order to resolve their problem, because if that will not be resolved, that will become worse. And you will be also affected because you are their friend. Intervening variable can be observed in correlational research. That's why they are hypothetical. Examples of intervening variables are age, gender, income, religion, tribe, educational qualification, experience, and nationality. And all of these are demographic profile of your respondents. Before we are going to end our video presentation, this is the assignment as promised. You are going to check whether it is an inquiry or a research. So this is your assignment. There are 10 items. You are going to write the instruction and of course write the situations. The word inquiry and research, give 3 columns in your paper and write the statements in the first column. Then there is a column for inquiry and research, and you're going to put your check here if it is an inquiry, if it undergoes investigation or further examination of the reasons of the occurrence of this particular situation. You're going to have the research. You're going to check, you're going to put your check here in the research column. A student wants to know the latest cell phone brands which are sellable in the market. Is it an inquiry or research? A teacher wants to investigate the relationship between students' problem-solving skills in math and science subjects. If you are just only asking question and you need an immediate answer to that, that is an inquiry. And that is the clue that I am going to give to you. A principal wants to get the complete list of all the students and teachers. If the situation needs further investigation, means it takes several days, months, in order to get the answer, that is a research. But if you can receive the answer in a very short span of time, minutes, okay, that is an inquiry only. A guidance counselor wants to investigate the effect of bullying on the self-esteem of students. Mr. Maliga wants to know the effects of COVID-19 pandemic to the mental health of nurses. Mr. Simple wants to determine the final grades of his students. Mrs. Santiago aims to examine the effect of online and modular learning modalities to academic performance of students. A student wants to know the likes and dislikes of his teacher. Mr. Abubakar wants to know the best students in this class. Dr. Ligasti wants to determine the level of psychological resilience of teachers amid COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this is your second assignment. This is very simple. Check all words that can operate as a research variable and plus X for the words that cannot be. If you think that this can be a topic of your research, that is a variable. Number 1, leadership. Number 2, skills. Number 3, self-esteem. Number 4, experience. 5, air quality. Number 6, expectations. Number 7, reading comprehension. 8, cultural heritage. Number 9, commitment. Number 10, social media. 11, goals. 12, life plans. 13, academic contest. 14, academic grades. 15, aspirations. 16, curriculum. 17 is intelligence. 18, economic status. 19, competence. And number 20, resilience. You're going to check all the words or word if there is only one which is not variable or which is a variable. Can operate as a research variable and plus an X for the words that cannot be. That ends this video presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.